Hello, my fellow multidimensionals. It's Asia, founder of multidimensionalu.com. So, in this weekly vlog, I want to address a very common phenomena that I myself have certainly lived through, and then I have guided many of my clients through, and that is indecision limbo. Or maybe we should call it purgatory, because that's what it can feel like. So by addressing this topic, we're going to weave in a whole bunch of other related issues that come up when you find yourself in that limbo land between a yes and a no, and you can't seem to make up your mind. And, this isn't really a big deal for, oh, did I want that, candy bar or not? I'm talking about really big life decisions where you get hung up. And I want to give you some of my recommendations and tools I use to get yourself out of limbo, because limbo is exceptionally draining on your energy field. It is, as my manted aspect would say, an incredibly inefficient use of your vital life force energy and mental focus. So people often ask me, how do I have more clarity about what to do? What should I do? What should I do? And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I am not here to be anyone's guru. My main mission is to bring multidimensional living, in a direct embodied experience of your own inner guidance to you, right? There's a process to that, of course. So no one outside of you can tell you what to do. In fact, if you do that and then act on it, it's giving your power away, and then you will likely have regret related to that because you weren't fully in your power when you made that decision. And I see this, I'll just be really frank, I see a lot of women give their power away to the men in their lives, and usually the answer becomes a no. And they may not have even had the conversation with the men in their lives or the significant person in your life. It seems to run that gender split, but it by no means is it relegated to that gender split. and that's not living in your power, right? So the way I've navigated this is that I have gotten clarity as I have taken on and taken decisions in the direction of alignment with my true passion and purpose. And not everybody knows their purpose in the beginning. Mine seems to always be evolving and changing. So your passion is the key. What lights you up as and then maybe you kind of go, but I can't have that. I can't do that. Not right now, some other time, later, right? That's not a good feeling. And I've channeled so much on this topic from various amazing teachers. And what they will all tell you is that is a self-betrayal. And as we move through the ascension timeline that we're in, and everything is going multidimensional, you have access to so much more of yourself. So by practicing, just take one thing maybe that you've been in limbo about, maybe that doesn't feel super risky, but I'm here to tell you, the more that it brings up fear in you, the more you better believe you better say yes. Because it's showing you where you have a block, a negative program, or a distortion that is limiting you. Because we are truly limitless co-creators at this time. And I'm just going to even drop the co and just say creators now. We are creating our experience of reality. But most of us have not been given the education or the role modeling, the way showing to see how people can do that. Right? It's still this relationship to external reality as if it befalls us. It all starts here and only ever starts here. And it stops here too. So the way that I've done this is I've taken huge leaps of faith that to my logical mind and all my fear that I used to hold felt like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And now with hindsight, I look at how I just burned through so much distortion, and the way that I live now is such a reflection of that. So there's no way to do it except to practice it, as my first point. So to get out of limbo, you just have to, as the case may be. Sometimes it may be a no. Maybe somebody's putting pressure on you and it doesn't feel good, but you don't feel like you can say no because of all your family conditioning and, it's an obligation. Maybe it's a no for you, and that feels brave and strong and empowered and risky, right? Whatever feels like, it's bringing up risk for you, fear of being judged by others, ridiculed, fear of being rejected by others or judged again by others, right? What's coming at you from other people, please remember, is always only their own distortion or lack thereof it. And the lack of distortion feels pretty good. Those people to be around who've really, gotten into self-mastery, they're not constantly projecting their wounded ego and judgments on you. So that's really good to keep in mind as you're making a decision. The people that you want to bring into that decision, if any, besides yourself, really should be people who have, mastered themselves and live in this place of limitless creation. So I've touched on a number of different things that if you're finding yourself right now in indecision limbo, the best thing you can do, number one, is to get yourself grounded, through a meditation, clear your chakras, clear your field, psychic hygiene. You will hear me hammer this point home the rest of this year because, listen, I am seeing some crazy shit out there. Even at the gym, people's entities are giving me the middle finger and, there's so much playing around in the astral. I was explaining this to my business manager this morning, trying to find a good analogy. I think it's akin to when our modern society wakes back up to the fact that that there is an auric field and that there are other dimensions affecting us. It's akin to the revolution that happened when, we realized that doctors needed to wash hands and therefore the rates of infection and death went drastically down in hospitals. It's the same thing, I think, with our auric field. So clear your chakras, get your field clear. If you don't have access to a meditation, just email us here at info@multidimensionalu.com. We will send you the one I've recorded. But there are plenty out there. And then just be quiet. Don't put any pressure on yourself. And then take all the limiting factors from your perspective off. If time, money, and resources were no issue, and judgment from others, and all this anticipated awful fallout I think might happen, let all that go. And in that quiet stillness, how does that feel if you dared to allow yourself to go there? And now most people, when they allow themselves to truly do this exercise, it's such a no-brainer, right? It's such a clear answer. But we don't take time to do that, and so we're clouded, and we've got psychic intrusions and negative programs that are still running. We haven't quieted down. Don't try to make a decision when you're in the mental hamster wheel. You will get nowhere fast, right? So I hope that's helpful. The multidimensional self is an exceptional identity to step into. I came out here just a little while ago, and the beauty of the land here to help me get back and grounded, after kind of a busy morning of meetings and, just being in my head so much. It's very essencing. So that's another tool, is to make sure that you're spending time in nature, because it holds integrity. It will help you come back into coherence. You can do your grounding and clearing out on the land. See who shows up for you out here. I had snake and black dragonfly show up for me today here. If that's not about emergence and change and, bring it on, lady, step into, your change. I don't know what is. So that's my loving, yet kind of, I'm holding the fierce backstop for you all. I channel Archangel Michael a lot, and he is so good at this. In fact, I'll just take a second and see. I'll feel into what he would share. He's pointing out that so many of you are your own worst advocates. You are advocating for your own limitations, and only you can do that. So flip side, which is great, only you can be your best possible advocate with no limitations. So he's really putting the responsibility back in our ball court, right? No excuses. This is fierce kind of spiritual warriorship living. The buck stops right here, and it doesn't mean we're insensitive and, jerks. It just means we become very ruthless about honoring our internal guidance. It's there for a reason. And once you get to a certain point, you see why. And it completely transforms the way that you experience reality. So I know some of you know this, and feel free to comment below on your experiences with indecision limbo, and then when you got out of it and what that felt like, because you will inspire other people with your stories, okay? All right. I will talk to you all again soon. Have a magical multidimensional week.